This is the 5 Next Steps show with Daniel Duwa.
So, hi, how you doing? This is Daniel, and I was in a sectorial. That's a difficult word to say. I was in sectorial the other day, 3 days ago. What's a sectorial? Sectorial is when you have a bunch of policymakers meet, and they decide what they're going to be doing for the next 90 days, this quarter or the next 4 quarters, whatever it is. So they decide this is what we're doing, this is where we are putting our efforts, this is where we're going to put our spending, and these are the things that we're going to be pursuing the next, say, 90 days, and then how we're going to know we are successful, how we're going to measure it, who's going to be part of the implementation. And one of the points for this sectorial was to find ways to work with public-private partnerships. And one of the people they ask very important question really, and they asked why do business fail? And in the context of sectorial, it might sound that like that was not aligned with the agenda of the day, but a lot of companies are retrenching or layoffs. There are major layoffs that are going on at the moment, and everybody's saying now we're going to do business and that kind of things. So if you study any business book, you'll hear or you'll be told that businesses fail within the first 18 months, and so it struck me that let me do that again. So it struck me that in the next few months we're gonna have a lot of people opening businesses because now they don't have jobs, and you have to be an entrepreneur. And I started thinking about the reasons why businesses fail, and this might be global, like across the board, universal reasons why businesses fail. And I came up to a few pointers, and I'd like to share those with you at the moment. So one of the most important thing I remember being told by one of my mentors is when you come from cushy jobs, you come from government, you come from private companies, you had a big desk and a workforce and computers and that kind of thing, and you find most people when they start businesses, you buy everything but what the business is. You buy furniture and office, and you lease and all this stuff, but you haven't defined what the business is. And I think that's a really, really major part of this. And now you find you get into a problem where you have lack of demand for your product or service, because again, you haven't defined what the business is. You haven't done market research. You haven't gone out there and asked people, is this what you need? Do you need it in this particular form? Because they might be needing what you're selling, but they don't need it in the form that you are selling it at. A good example is one of these times I met one of those billionaires, and he runs a company that sells cooking oil, vegetable oil, literally vegetable oil. And since I was a kid, I thought, you sell the most of the vegetable oils at the massive supermarkets at the shopping mall. And this person told me, no, we sell more stuff in the informal sector, in the slums, because what we do, we package them in really, really small packages, and you can sell these every day for very little money, but that little money adds up. So if you're selling probably 20 liters of vegetable oil at this fixed price, if you break it down in small little packages, you can charge more. It's called a surcharge. You can put more charge to it, and then when you quantitatively put it together, the sachets are going to sell more than the big packages, and every company in the world does that, from toothpaste companies where they have this small little branded toothpaste that the kind that you get in a plane, when you're flying, and then they give you the toothpaste, the care package, which has a toothbrush and a toothpaste. Those small little toothpastes, those toothpaste, when they sell them in the informal sector, they sell them for a little bit of money, but when you put that money together, they make so much money. So product demand, service demand? Do people know that? The other thing also is, if you've never run a business and you've never failed at business, you've never failed at something, it's very difficult to run a business. So financial management, poor financial management is a huge part of why businesses fail. Because most times you think that you have enough runway, you have this small capital, and you think your issue is capital. You think you'll blame everything else, but you don't know how to manage stuff, and you don't learn how to manage stuff from just talking about managing or starting something. You have to put in the design, the planning stage. What's my skill level? Number one. And number two, if I don't have the skills to manage, who can help me manage? And sometimes when you're starting out, just reach out. There's always a kid who knows the stuff. There's always somebody who knows the stuff, and be around people who are supporting of the stuff, not accepting of the stuff you're trying to do. Not when you're starting out, don't go out there trying to, get votes for, starting the thing. Just get people who have a skill in what you want to do. People, and you always know the people remember in college, you always knew who knew how to do something. Your phone is broken, you know who's going to fix it, something. So that's the same mentality. Go out there and find a good manager to teach you how to do the thing. Job shadow someone who's already doing the thing. Just ask them, I'm going to come help you today for a week. I'm going to help you for a week. Don't charge me anything. I'm going to pay for my own fare, pay for my own airtime. All I want to do is, help you with the stuff, and you observe and you learn. And if you're genuine enough, they'll always say yes. People like to share their experience and their knowledge and that kind of thing. And the most important one is, most people get into, and it doesn't matter if it's personal business or entrepreneurship or whatever it is. Most people do not have the knowledge or experience. They've never done anything that they think. So you're coming to run business and you've never run anything. So you're going to fail naturally. And then also, one of the other major one is marketing and sales. So you need to put strategies before you start you have to define the product. You have to put management in there. You have to get experience and knowledge by job shadowing. And then now you have to know that there's going to be competition. And competitor is not the person who's next door to you. Competitor is in terms of the supply chain. Where am I getting my stuff from? How much is it costing me? Where do I need to get it to? Because it's never about the guy next door, the woman next door, whatever it is, the child next door. It's about, I have a product, where is my customer? And unless you find that, you're going to get a lot of competition. And then also, you can't sit back there and do all these things if you don't have sufficient capital to start with. So, and sometimes it's not monetary. Sometimes it's social capital. Sometimes it's about telling someone, this is what I'm doing. And they refer you to someone and say, this is my person. I believe in them. I know they're going to deliver. And the social capital is they're going to, refer you to someone, but then you have to deliver. So capital is great, but the Kenyan experience has always been very interesting. Kenyans go to any place in the world, and if you give them enough time, they take over stuff, because we're not going to start from the top. We're going to start from where we are. We're going to start with the basic stuff. If the only thing you have is $10, ask yourself, what is it I can get for $10 and flip for $20, for $12, and grow it that way. A great example is Kenyans who go out there and you live in an estate and you have to drive 40 minutes to get groceries. The next day, Kenyans are going to be selling groceries from the back of their kitchen. And in a month's time, in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, they have a supermarket, and everybody who lived around is going to be saying, oh, Kenyans came to take our jobs. You never had a grocery before. So opportunity is about sometimes not waiting for the funds you need. Sometimes it's about using social capital. And I always tell people this. The only reason, one of the major reasons why you go to campus is to network, is to get to create this social capital. you are known for the things you did in campus. You are this kind of person. You are a problem solver. You are really good at some of that stuff. So social capital is more important for me, from where I'm standing. To create social capital is more important to have financial capital, because money goes away. Every business person that you've ever met, businesswoman you've ever met, businessman that you ever met, they'll always tell you that there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be good days, bad days, but it's the constant growth, the gradual growth, and most importantly, most of the major corporations, they do credit transfers. I've been in businesses where you wake up in the morning and you call your friend or the other business, even a competitor, and say, can you give me this stuff on credit? And at the end of the day you clear your credit, or at the end of the week you clear your credit, at the end of the month. Supermarkets and major chains, that's what they do. You take your services, you take your product or services to these big corporations, and you're paid in 45 days after the stuff has been sold, not after you deliver the stuff. So you put the stuff on consignment, and for the next, if they sit on the shelf and then it's sold, you don't get your money then. You get your money after 45 days. Now, there are merits and demerits of that, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about why business fail. But most time, that's how they raise capital. Because if you're putting the money, if you have all this money in your account, let's say, for example, you've sold 20 televisions at $10,000, whatever it is, you have $10,000 in your checking account at the bank. That means something to the bank. You can walk into the bank and say, I need a line of credit for this much, for this device I want, for this product I want, to train my staff are really that kind of thing. So it's important to understand that. But again, I'm going to go back to social capital. Social capital is more important than financial capital. Having capital, working to getting references, and social capital works very perfectly well in terms of private clubs. If you're a member of a private club, you're not going to give business to anybody outside of the private club. You're playing golf, and then you sit at the clubhouse after golf. You're taking your tea and you discuss the business. In 10-15 minutes, it's gone around the table, and everybody's got a piece of the bread. And that's the challenge, because now they don't teach that at public school. They don't teach you, unless you do those financial courses that kids of the rich do. So it's really important to understand that. Another reason why businesses fail, according to me, is planning and strategy. Sometimes we don't plan. We say, okay, because I've seen a lot of cases where people start businesses because their friend started a business, and again, pyramid schemes. Remember, envy and greed, same thing. If you're envious of someone and you get very greedy very quickly, the question you should ask yourself: if I'm going to be spending my time doing this particular business, do I really want to be spending my day doing this thing? Am I capable of doing the thing? Is there a better way to use my time? Because sometimes you will be at a point in life where you need to take a break from all of it and just, go be useful and purposeful in a different area. And greed and envy will lead you to poor planning and poor strategy, because you're thinking, oh, if they're doing it, I can do it too. As opposed to, because sometimes it's even more important that if you see they're successful at the business, you can actually implement a strategy to help them. So I think there's some sort of wisdom to thinking about if your view is somebody's open a business next door and you should open the same business. I think there's some wisdom in putting a legal structure and a funding structure of investing in their business. So finding a system where you can walk into them and have a conversation over time. Don't rush. Life is not going anywhere. So strategy, planning, sitting with them and having coffee and having a relationships. Again, like I said, people go to campus to form relationship, to form social capital that you can use later, as opposed to get an education. I mean, by the time you're getting to campus, you have gotten an education. The challenge is probably you haven't been taught to think, because again, that's a big deal. And I remember saying this at a forum. We were teaching this village kids, and I said, you need to learn how to think, and somebody took offense to it, and I go like, sit down. Here's what I mean. Every company from Apple to Google to whatever it is, the first thing they teach you to do is, to think, design thinking. How is this thing I'm making? How is it going to impact the world? Who is my customer? Who's my audience? And it's normally one person. You're designing for one person, that kind of thing. So thinking, learning how to think, and being strategic and planning. And sometimes you don't have to do it yourself, but you have to find a way to monitor. And also, don't invest money that you cannot lose, because you lose money. Yeah, there are two ways: you either gain or you lose. That's what it's called, a business. I remember in high school, my commerce teacher was one of the best, and she used to tell me, you either make a profit or make a loss. That's what a business is. You make a profit or make a loss, but you design a great product. And I remember designing these mock-up products, and we take them over, and very soon I realized I didn't want to make practical products like fabricated products. So I started selling ideas. I used to go to the principal and go like, you need to send these girls to the park, and learning how to do that, learning how to talk to authority, learning to go to the bank and go like, I'm going to teach you computing. And they ask you, why do we need to learn computing? Because, that kind of thing. And learning that's really important. And it's just being strategic and having a plan, and even as a small kid. And the last reason why businesses fail is poor customer service. Now, I live in a city and I live in a country where you don't have to leave your house. You have network. You can work from home. You can order food from home. You can watch, Netflix and chill on Netflix and Married, that kind of thing. And this is the rest of the world at the moment. So if somebody comes to your business for a product or service, you need to treat them well, because where else would they live? They don't have a reason to leave their house. And most times you find you go to a place and the service is just horrible. I remember, I've talked about this before. There's a coffee house I like going to, and we've been going through it there since probably 20 years when we were kids. And my friend and I, fudge cake, we'd go there, and because we were kids, we could only afford one fudge cake. And I'd like my latte, and she had our coffee. So the same coffee house for years and years, we've gone to the same one. And I was traveling across the country, and they opened a branch in this small little town. So I tell this guy go like, we can go to that coffee house, because again, we're bougie and stuff. And we enter, and the girl welcomes us. Great, we can have a conversation. She sits us down, but then the girl who comes to offer the service, she's saying all the right things, but it's a script. It's not a conversation. It's not like in the city where you're having a conversation. You can, she understands what we're about. So the service is it's not bad. It's not good either. It's just there, and we immediately look at each other and go like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go back to the city and have a proper meal or something like that, because she's a small town girl, never left, and there's no problem with small town. I just don't want to live there. So she's never left the place, so she knows what she was taught. Now, you want somebody, again, if you go to a private club, you meeting somebody who's been in those situations. They've driven the car, they've been to the places, they've traveled to so when you're having a conversation, even if it's a 2 minute conversation, you form partnerships. And next time when you come through, you go like, you need to talk to that person, because so you're forming this network. Again, very important, customer care. And when you're starting a business, that's part of the planning. That's part of the strategy, that's part of the social capital that you're going to invest in. And then also, I want us to, my mentors always say is that, why are you making it so negative? You always tell people, why are you making it so negative? You can present the stuff in a positive way. Instead of saying, we cannot do this thing, you say, I think if we do this, we can achieve the thing. Not being positive, but not being negative either, So that's important. And in that same regard, I want to talk about how to succeed, and get through the hurdle so that your business doesn't fail. So some of the ideas that you need to put in place before you start a business or entrepreneurship, especially with the layoffs now, especially from, you have 1 million people coming from schools and institutions every year, and there's not enough jobs in the world. Sometimes it's about creating the job, and sometimes you need to start from where you are, So I think one of the things you really want to put time into outside of social capital is to create to do market research and also identify your client. I'm going to give an example. There's a major multinational corporation that's been there for a century, selling toxics, really. They sell the black stuff on the bottle, and they do great marketing campaign. When I was a kid, I studied the business, the model, for what Coca-Cola is. And Coca-Cola, according to the study I did back in the day when I was a kid, I think I was 14 or 15, and I read that Coca-Cola, the black stuff that they sell, is targeted at a male kid, 17 years old, male kid, 17 years old, because a 17-year-old kid is the coolest person in the family. But because they're just growing, they want to have that dark stuff so they can if they put liquor in, nobody will know. And you'll find the sister will have something colored. So a younger sister would have something that's colored. So that's Fanta. Their mom would want something that's a bit more classy. So probably black currant or Sprite or something like that. And then the father would want ginger ale. And you find that's how they structured from one person. So you need to identify your customer or your client, for your product service. Who is your client? And you have to define it by age, by gender, by socioeconomic, by exposure. Because if you're selling curated cheese that's been marinated in, I don't know, the laughter of angels, let's say, you need somebody who understands what that is, So socioeconomics is going to be an important thing. I think level of schooling is going to be an important thing. Packaging is going to be an important thing. So those kind of things. So understanding who your client is, who your customer is, and their needs, because there's no point of selling a Rolls. Again, let's go back to the private club. A Mercedes-Benz is never advertised. They've never advertised their Mercedes-Benz. You go to the club and there's going to be an open, and there's going to be the new Mercedes parked over there, and the manager is going to be there, and he's going to be giving people a test drive. And if you have the previous Mercedes, you don't buy the next Mercedes, you get into the next Mercedes. Because why? Because you're going to deliver the previous one, and they're going to give you the new one, and you're going to figure out financing. That's how it works. So if that's your client, yes. But if you're selling, again, vegetable oil, you're not going to be putting all the effort to put these massive billboards at the shopping mall, at the in affluent centers. You want to think about where am I going to put this? I'm going to put it in informal sectors, informal areas, and I have those small little packages and sell more. If you're selling $200 at the supermarket, if you make them in small packages, you can sell $500 or $1,000. Same stuff. So understanding your customer needs is really important. And then also, again, I know I've said this before, but creating a business plan with realistic goals and budgets. If all you have is $10, the question is, what can I do with $10 to make $15, to make $12, to make $20? As opposed to, because the conversation has always been, if I had $100, I would do this thing. Now, if you can't use $20 to make to start your business, if you have $100, you will not make anything. So you need to start thinking of realistic goals. For me, realistic goals are not the limitations. This is what I can do with what I have. Again, start where you are. It's really, really important to start where you are. And understanding market research, because like for example, Pampers, diapers, you can go to the supermarket and buy diapers for crazy amount of money, or you can go to the supplier who does Home Depot or some sort. You can go to the supplier and buy a whole rim that's going to last you a whole month for a bit. All you have to make sure is it doesn't affect your kid. Your kid doesn't get a reaction. And again, every parent knows that you're going to try different type of diapers until you get the one that your kids really like. It doesn't affect your kid. But you go and buy the big, packaging. Now, if you're selling diapers, everybody knows that you don't sell the whole package. You sell one diaper at a time. So you'll find a woman or a man will go, a woman will call the husband or the boyfriend or whatever it is and say, come with a diaper, and the guy will come with 2 or 3 diapers. You'll send your kid to get 2 or 3 diapers. Not ideal, but that's how you make money. So understanding the customer needs, understanding the budgets, your realistic budgets, just doing a comprehensive business plan and understanding realistic goals and budgets works like a magic. And then again, also develop a strategy to reach and retain customers. Number one, it's important to reach customers. So again, like the Mercedes example, Mercedes, it has a brand loyalty. It has a brand identity that people know about. Brand identity. I've been told that I say identity too quickly, that people don't understand its identity because I say identity. So Mercedes-Benz has a brand identity. It has a brand royalties. So that's why they sit it at the golf club, and if you're getting the next one or not. They don't sell Mercedes-Benz. If you ask how much a Mercedes-Benz costs, they're not going to tell you. You're not their customer. So there's that. And then also, so developing how to reach customer is number one. But number two, how do you retain? Because a customer is a customer when they're a repeat customer. Sorry, there's a plane that's passing. I don't know if you can hear it. A customer is a customer because they're a repeat customer. They come back for service. But why they're coming back? Because you have great customer care, you have great products, and you got you have a great strategy to keep the customers. So retaining customers is really, really important. And then also, as you continue to grow or to go, I call it to go or to grow, because there are days that's going to be great, there are days that are not going to be great. But as you continue to grow and go, you need to start to reevaluate and also adjust your business plan as you go, because again, things change, technology change, people's perception change, and a lot of stuff changes, and you need to adapt to change. Otherwise you're going to, the only thing that's constant in the world, as they say, is change. And one thing I remember reading this, and I go like, there's a Chinese saying that says, we live in interesting times. And interesting times is you walk downtown and your ice cream parlor place that you went when you were a kid is closed. Now what do? You need to re-strategize. Even in business, even in entrepreneurship, even in the service industry, you need to change, you need to adapt to change. And change is a good thing, because there are two things. You either fight the change and you will lose. Obviously, you will lose, or adapt to change. And you have to be quick enough to adapt, but not too quick that you lose your customers, because customers have needs. And again, like for example, in the Hilton example, where you find the old traditional Hilton client wants the same stuff. They don't want changes. The old Mercedes driver, a person who's driving a Mercedes will never drive anything but a Mercedes. Perhaps they're going to drive a VW. They're going to drive a German car for most part. If they drive probably a Japanese car, they're going to drive maybe a Toyota 4-wheel drive, something like that, just to get them to where they're going. But again, the profile of that customer, so they need a bit of change. And that's why you find companies like Toyota, when they do their luxury cars, they don't change much. They're not the first one to adapt. The Koreans will adapt to technology very fast. The Hyundai and Kias and whatever else it is, they adapt very fast because they're the new kids on the block. What's the selling point? We're the new kids on the block. We have the greatest whatever it is. Samsung again adapts to new stuff very quickly. Apple will be very consistent growing slowly until they need the thing that, so I mean, or they figure out how to do it. So those are the kind of things. And even you should start thinking to adapt as you go, evaluate, adapt, that kind of thing. And then again, social capital, understanding social capital, really important, because social capital, again, foundation. And I will repeat this again. People go to campus not to learn, not to be educated, but to have social capital. And once you start understanding that, it becomes a really important. So creating networks, like I said before, you get into entrepreneurship and the other people are not your enemies. They're not your competitors. You bring them to the fold. You have agreements. And it's nice if you make sure that there are legal agreements from day one. And also, how do you resolve issues when issues arise? Because issues are going to arise. You can sell something and then it's broken, and then how do you handle that? So you need to plan for this stuff. And developing networks really key. And you need to get to industry, industry experts and industry associations. You need to start thinking, even if it's a small shop, what are the associations that are around shops? What are the non-profits that are within those environments where you can reach out and they can probably give you an education. Education is free for most part, and there's plenty of education. Especially there's a lot of people that are running a lot of things. What are the grants that you can get? What are the taxations that reliefs that you can get from policy, from policymakers? Read widely, understand your industry widely. That's part of the key element of running stuff. It goes back to that strategic planning, plugging in to networks, plugging into industry networks, plugging into to other people who've done the business before. Having a mentor that has done the business before, even if you're saying, yes, I run my shop, but can I be coming? I have a person who runs, who can, man the shop in the morning. Can I come and just watch you do the stuff? I'm going to help out. I'm going to carry the stuff, and just learning the essence. Because again, and this is a major issue that I've faced with young people, because they're on their screens and they're not in the real world. There are no opportunities for them to get into the real world. So they find they have all this knowledge, but it's very theoretical. When they go into the real world, they break down because they don't fit in very well. So those are challenges. So forming in networks, volunteering in, like, for example, I think everybody should go to campus for, or a form of structured institution when they are 16, 15, 17. But also, I think people should job shadow. So even as an entrepreneur, you should job shadow. Because most businesses fail because you've never experienced the thing. You don't have associations. You don't have network. When you don't have capital, you are done for. You can't make a call to someone because they don't know you, and even if they don't know you, they don't know you in that way. So there's that. I remember when I was a kid, probably 13 years old, I used to go to the university library. And of course, I wasn't in the university and I couldn't get a card to get to, but I knew the librarian. So every time I would carry a cookie or something like that, and she'd be like, oh, you can read any book you want. You can go with it, but anything you want, I'll get you any book you want, And that's how I would study all these concepts and ideas and stuff. And then she would send me to a lecturer who would break the information that so I would take all these notes, and she'd go like, okay, she'd look at the notes and go like, go talk to this lecturer and this hall. And I would just go, oh, I've been sent by the librarian to talk to you about this. And we'd have all this great conversation as a kid. So forming that network, how did I know to form that network? I didn't. I was just curious for information, knowledge, and how you turn that knowledge into actionable stuff. So joining industry experts, getting other successful business owners into your network, I think that's really, really important. And again, greed and envy, leave that out the door. Just know that when you look at a person, how do I bring value to this person, number one? And number two, is there something I can learn from this person? It's a very fantastic way of living your life. And I'm going to tell you that for free. It's fantastic. And then also you need to remember that as you continue to grow, also join training sessions. They're free training sessions, but then they're also paid training sessions, how to be prudent in finances, because all of us, we are not good at finances. Let's not lie. I mean, we might be minimalists or, opulent or whatever it is, but none of us know how to spend money, because you wake up in the morning and you get some money, and what have we been taught? You need to go buy the thing that you don't have, or you think you don't have, but the question is, do you need these things? So financial prudence, learning to be financial prudent is really, really important. And how do you do that? By learning formal stuff. How do I, these are my finances, and having somebody to break it down for you. This is the income, this is how much I spend in the business, this is how much I need to save, this is how much I need to spend for fun, and you need to do stuff for fun. I remember when I was growing up, and we'd go out with my mom, shopping or to town or whatever it is. We did a lot with my mom, and we would walk down the street, and my mom would ask me, how much money do we have? And she'd ask me, how much money do we need to spend for the things we need to spend? And then how much money are we going to have for lunch? And, that kind of thing. And it's the same stuff I'm telling you. You need to plan to be prudent with your money. But also, there is no reason of creating all this wealth if you cannot spend the wealth, If you there's no point of creating all this wealth if you can't enjoy it. So also you need to learn to enjoy the stuff, and you need to be good with enjoying, because a lot of people feel like if they're enjoying their money, they get guilty. You need to give some, you need to be generous in terms of, these are the causes that we fund, these are the causes that we support. But also you need to also have some fun with whatever it is. You need to save, obviously, it goes without saying, and you need to invest, and diversifying your investment is really important. I learned that from my grandfather, who invested in stocks, invested in property, and in all these other things, and also he just invested in us in terms of education. You had to wake up in the morning at 6 a.m, and you had to find something to do with your time, and then you had to read stuff. There are all these books on the shelf that you just pick one and read, and there was music, and there was laughter, and there was trees and planting stuff in the city. At the backyard there were fruits that you could just pick, that kind of thing. So having a complete balanced life, it's not just you work every day. Take a holiday, and plan for that stuff. And then also you need to also start remembering that you have to be positive. So people need to know what are your values, in terms of when you wake up in the morning, what are people supposed to do, because you find most people wake up in the morning and they're trying to fill in their hours. Give people a sense of purpose. This is what we stand for. This is what we're trying to do, and give them the freedom to be who they are. You don't stand, monitoring people. I think there's wisdom in delegating, and delegation is about, I'm giving you this permission to do the thing. Give them budgets to do what they need to do, and then trust them, because if you hire good people, if you're around good people, if you hire good people, they'll always get good results. Whatever the results is, so long as you're aligned. And if things fall apart, sit back and say, okay, things are falling apart. How do we get the wheels back? How do we start moving again? Those kind of things. And if you fall into hard time, explain it to the people. You don't have to explain it to the rest of the world, but the people within the organization need to know and need to trust that you are leading them well. So those are important things. And then also, probably the last one is you need to also stay updated with the industry, with the service that you provide, with the products that you provide. Because sometimes you don't want to keep inventory. I don't believe in keeping inventory. I don't believe in being a store. I remember when I was a kid, again, I started this stuff when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we ran all this creative stuff, and we didn't know how to fund it. So we'd print the promotional t-shirt that we'd be wearing, and those outfits, everybody wanted them. So eventually, we started selling that stuff. And I would go to, I'd print like 20 of them, and I'd go to the shopping malls and give them to, on consignment. It would be like really painful. But then if you went downtown and give them to these people, you just trusted these people and go like, I'm going to give you 2 of them. Next week I'm going to pass by. If you sell, here's my number, give me a call. And you find in those setups, you do more business. And because you didn't ask these people, they know it's genuine, and normally most people will not treat them genuinely because everybody is chasing them after something, licenses and all this other stuff, and people are looking down on them. But you're an uptown kid, you walk to this person and say, listen, I have these 5 t-shirts, and very good quality t-shirts. I'm going to leave 2 with you. Tomorrow I'm going to pass by. If you get customers, let me know. They're in business. They understand the basics of business, profits. That's what they think about. So they ask you how much you sell it for, and go like, oh, that's too high, whatever it is. You revise the price, again, adapt to change or die, that kind of thing. And we'd sell a lot of t-shirts that way, over time. Now, it's a pain remembering where the street is because, again, in Middletown, whatever it is. And also, you plug in knowing that you might lose a bunch of those t-shirts, 2 or 3 or whatever it is. So you put that in your expense report, and you plan that if I lose 3 or 4, it's not going to be horrible, that kind of thing. So those are some of the things you can do to mitigate from failing when you start your business or entrepreneurship, service or product, selling products in the first year, whatever it is. It's not perfect. It's not written in stones. These are just guides, and probably you have better guides. You're in the industry, you're doing it, so perhaps you have better guides. If you can share those with me, I'd really appreciate, so that we can create a community of entrepreneurs, of people who are living with purpose, people who are living with passion, people who are living their passion, and people who are going through the world and taking their purpose and passion and sharing that, and probably creating a better world than they found. So I'm going to leave it at that. Again, very quickly, reason why stuff fail, businesses fail: lack of demand for service product, poor financial management, experience, lack of experience and knowledge. And I remember when we were kids, we used to ask, where do you get 20 years experience? And the answer is just start where you are and do the stuff you want to do. Because if you wait, you're going to wait a long time, and nobody's coming to save you. So just start doing the stuff. And then there's the competition. So understanding what is competition, what's not competition. Capital, again, I'm very, very driven by social capital, not financial capital. And also not having strategy or planning, those are important one. Customer service, very, very important. On the flip side, how do you start planning for success? So success in business, I think it's really, really important to do market research to understand what the customers need or your client needs, doing a comprehensive reality check. This is the dream. This is where I started. Of course, you're going to achieve your dream, but it's going to take a while. It's going to take some time, and time is good. Time is your asset. Time is your friend, because as you grow, you learn. As you go, you learn. It's important. You grow and you go as you learn. And I've never met a successful person in the world who didn't have a failed business. Now, I'm not saying you should fail. I'm just saying you should learn, and you should be open to learning and plug in the failure. Again, it's very important to define what success is to you, and then go into the world and find three entities or 3 persons who've succeeded, and learn from that and go like, where do I fit in? Not copying, but because there's nothing new that's been that happens on earth. There's nothing new. Everything that we're doing today has been done before. The only difference is we're bringing and putting our rubber stamp onto this new thing we're doing, or we're doing it differently. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that also. And so knowing what your customer needs, doing market research, having goals, realistic goals, but dreaming. It's important to dream, because sometimes our dream is too small. We live in a village or we live in a pond, and you think, oh, that's the rest of the world. I would rather live in the rest of the world, go into the rest of the world, work in the rest of the world, and come back home to my small estate, village, town, whatever it is. Okay, I'm a city kid, so back in my city. But going to the world and doing this awesome stuff, I think is really, really important. And then coming back home and enjoying the rest of your day, that kind of thing. And then also, it's important to continue to evaluate and develop products as you go, services as you go, and then also seek industry experts, seek associations, seek non-governmental organizations, so not-for-profits who are doing stuff in that industry. Just reach out and create networks that sort of way. And then also now start to actually learning the financial practices, understanding how finances work, understanding, in the business way. You can do the executive program. There's still wisdom in going to Ivy League schools, but also there's reason to going to community school. There's reason going to stuff that we call here TVETs, technical institutions, learning how to do the thing. Just because you're the CEO of the company, or the chairman of the company, doesn't mean you need to sit in your cushy office. I think you're going to lose money if you do that. There's something beautiful about learning how the stuff works, and being with the people especially, and treating your people well, and treating your people well is not always about money. Sometimes it's just how you treat them. Sometimes it's about introducing them and say, this person, and if you can get opportunities also, if you can send them to places of like if you have somebody who works for you and you can send them to a school program for a week, or to attend school for a week, that pays off, because they talk to their families, they talk to their kids and their friends, and if you can scale that over time, amazing, because it's great to create legacy businesses, but also it's great to give generously, in whatever you choose. And sometimes it's going to be your knowledge, sometimes it's going to be your experience, sharing your experience, the successes, the failure. And I know for some of us, we really love our privacy, so we do very public things, but when we come home, we want to be private, that kind of thing. It's important to do that, but also it's important to share it with the people you want to share it, and share the stuff you want to share, because there are people who don't care, they share everything. And to those people I say, power to you, and that's not me. But I want you to be successful. So that I love. I have passion for this. This is what I do. And then the last one also is to foster a culture, and people know your values, people know what you stand for, and also to adapt to changes in the industry, and embrace those changes, because what's the point otherwise, So those are some of the highlights of why businesses fail and why business succeed, more importantly, and why in whatever endeavor you choose to go into, whether it's employment, whether it's starting your own thing, whether it's developing a product or service, whether it's to take it easy, and just, start self-care, or, work towards your mental health. These are some of the strategies that you can use freely and openly. And whatever outcomes you get, please share them with me, and let me know if and when and how they work for you. In the meantime, let's keep growing, let's keep going. Until the next one, my name is Daniel Duwa. Remember to try to be happy. Until the next one, bye-bye.
Five Next Steps by award-winning Daniel Duwa, finishing school for business leaders, business heads, chairs, chief executive officers, C.E.Os, chief operating officers, C.F.Os, and high-level management. Daniel Duwa, an award-winning scaling expert, a global executive business leadership trainer helping individuals and corporations achieve clarity in uncertain times. Start your 5 next steps right now.